All right, good morning and welcome to Odoo Live. My name is Todd Farnham, Community Manager here at Odoo San Francisco, and joining me today is resident Odoo expert and business advisor Andrew Statz, here today to talk about statement reconciliation and accounting. Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
No problem. Today's presentation will take about 25 to 30 minutes, and then we'll have about 10 to 15 minutes for questions after. And back to you, Todd.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So yeah, and throughout the presentation, if you want, you can enter any questions you have in the chat box to the right, and we will be answering them throughout or saving them for the end during the Q&A session. And as always, if you want to revisit this link, anytime that you want, you can just type it back in, and this video will be available after the live webinar as a recording. Now, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe down below and hit like. And if you have any additional questions or things that you want to answer that we couldn't answer today, just send your questions to webinars@odoo.com. I think that's about all. Now I'll pass it off to Andrew.
Thanks, Todd. All right, everyone, hold on to your butts because we're going to go through the exciting world of accounting and statement reconciliation today. Let's get started. We're going to first I'm going to walk you through how we're going to import bank statements, the three methods you can bring your bank statements onto Odoo, and then we're going to take a look at our bank statement reconciliation, and then finally we're going to take a look at reconciliation reporting for unreconciled statements and outstanding payments and how to export those reports. So with that said, let's get into it. Excuse me. Let's do this. All right, so this is our Odoo homepage, and let's hop into our accounting application. So as you see here, before we get started, I want to tell everyone that I will be using an administrator access rule. So everyone has their own individual user rights within Odoo, but I'm using the administrator, so that provides me access to everything. So some of you may be wondering why you don't see these apps or have functionality. It might be because your access rights aren't tailored to the administrator. So keep that in mind. And but let's get started, and let's take a look at our journals here. So this is the accounting dashboard, and you're going to have basically these are all your journals of every single thing within your organization, whether it be customer invoices, vendor bills, your cash account, and then your bank. And then you may have numerous bank accounts, so let's go ahead and customize this to kind of reflect which specific bank account we're working with here. So we go here, we hit this three little dots here up in the corner, and we go to settings, and we'll customize this, and let's say it's a Chase account number, 564, save that, and that's pretty much it. Things like here, you set up your bank, what kind of bank it is, what kind of account it is. Yeah, let's go ahead and save that. So let's go back to the dashboard, and we're going to get into manual. We'll start with manual statement creation. So let's take a look here. We're going to now notice that our bank is now Chase number 546, account number 5464. Let's start with, okay. Is there a way to see less or more? All right, you could do a manual import, so let's go to more. Where is it? Sorry, guys, give me a second here. So we could do import a statement here. And so this is for importing a statement directly from your bank account. There are two file types that we support. One's CSV, which is a standard Excel file, and the other one is the Open Financial Interchange. So you typically can download these from your bank. If they provide online statements, they may export these in these file types. So that's one method of bringing in your statements here. Let me see, where's the manual? Where'd it go? New new statement. Am I losing stuff because of that? Sorry, guys. Anyways, the other way is online synchronization to add your bank directly to Odoo. And what you can do here is basically search for the type of bank you have. And just to clarify, I want to show you exactly what banks and financial institutions we support here in Odoo. And if we go to odoo.com and we go to our apps and we see accounting, handsome guy, and then up here in the corner, if you go to features, you could, and then here there's a little search bar that lets you search for whatever financial institution you're looking for. So if you're looking for Chase, these are all the Chase bank accounts or types of accounts that we support. And also, we also support not just only banks, but also financial institutions like PayPal. PayPal, there it is, or eBay and Amazon. So yeah, just to let you know, we have that. And then, oh, here it is. Sorry, it's hidden here. And then to manually create import a statement, we could just hit new statement here. And then you could generate a reference up here for what this statement is going to be. Odoo, you can also set up Odoo so that it automatically generates a reference for you. We could just put in whatever you want, what kind of reference number, maybe the date, or today's what, 11/7/17, or 11/8, sorry, 17, just as a reference, or however you want to structure it. And then from here, you select the date, which journal it is. This is for our bank journal, so that's why the Chase is over there. And we could add the items that we need to include. So, the date that this statement was, the transaction was recorded on the statement. So not necessarily today's date, it could be before. Most likely it was before. And then label is for the memo of what that transaction was. And then partner is whether it's a client or a vendor or whatever payment that was made to whoever it was. So that's where you would select that. And then amount can be positive or negative. Obviously positive is deposit, negative is you paying out, so it's credit. And that's pretty much how you import a manual statement within Odoo. So I think that's pretty much it for that within just bank statements importing. Now let's get into the really exciting stuff here, people. Okay, let's do some bank statement reconciliation, because we all know that's what we're here for. So we go to, sorry if you missed that, but if we back in our dashboard here in our journal, under the Chase section here, we see the button, this section here says reconcile 4 items. And we go ahead and hit that. And this brings us into the reconciliation section of our bank account. And basically, we're going to take a look at a few different reconciliation methods. The first one being, multiple. This gray area here is showing the cash deposit that needs to be reconciled with, the invoices that we have outstanding. So what we can do here is Odoo will go ahead and suggest certain invoices or documents that may be related to this one payment. So we have one payment of $1,175, and Odoo recommends that the 002 and 003 invoice are most likely the ones related to that payment. So if you actually look at the math, that does add up. So what we can do is go ahead and add that, and then add this, and then since that reconciles, we can just go ahead and reconcile that. So that's fun. Another thing we can do is there's a filter here that lets you search for things. So if we look at this camp to camp bill and then the camp to camp invoice, excuse me. So this is not that. Let's remove that actually. But we have this filter that lets you kind of pull up, invoices. If you have a bunch of outstanding invoices, it lets you pull up, narrow it down in terms of which invoices you have. In this situation, we only have about 4, so it's not that bad. But really, in a much more realistic business environment, you're going to have a bunch of outstanding invoices and bills, and this allows you to kind of filter through that and search through your transactions a lot easier in terms of matching up your payments and credits with your bank statements. So we have a really simple one here for bank fees. We could go ahead and just create, this doesn't really correspond to any invoices. This is a monthly fee or however we set up our bank charges us. But basically we can go ahead and tie this directly to whatever chart of account that it really should belong to. Typically we have a bank fees account already set up, so we'll just go ahead and tie this to that account, and that's pretty much it for reconciling one-off transactions like this, like bank fees and things like that. And then later in the presentation I'll get into how we can create reconciliation models that'll automatically recognize these types of transactions. So let's go ahead and reconcile that. And notice that I have the 4 things I need to reconcile. This progress bar is filling up as I progress through this process of reconciling these items within these transactions. Now, this is what we call the manual reconciliation process, where I'm going through and I'm matching things up and reconciling them. If your payments are clearly labeled by when they're deposited, you can use the automatic reconciliation function, which will match up invoices and bills to payments and to deposits and credits in your bank account, as long as the main names and things like that match up correctly. So that's another great feature of Odoo. Not something I can show you right now because this isn't really tied to a bank account. This is just for demo purposes. Let's see here. So the next thing I want to show you is if we have a prepayment for, say, a larger invoice. So I know that this 4,000 here, this prepayment is for this 4,600 amount, right? And we could go ahead and reconcile a payment for initial deposit or prepayment for this outstanding invoice that we really have. So what happens if this is a partial payment, what we'll do is there's a little alert thing that pops up here, and what we'll do is register a partial payment, and once you hit that, it lets you reconcile, and that's pretty much it. So that's that. We could keep going, but I've pretty much showed you the 3 different types of payments and reconciliation processes within Odoo, and that should be pretty much it for statement reconciliation. So I have a couple questions. Do I save these for the end, or?
Yeah. Is there anything else, or is it pretty much out?
And there's a few more things I want to go through before we finish up here. Let's get into batch deposits. So let's go back to accounting, their dashboard. So batch deposits let you make deposits, let you group a bunch of deposits that you're making at once and record them with one journal entry versus having to create numerous ones. But first thing we need to do is make sure it's set up. So we go to settings, and let's give it a second. You can scroll down here. Where is it? There it is. Batch deposits. Save that. Still loading. Yeah. I feel like this always takes longer when like you're like in a key moment of a demo or presentation. So now it's done. Let's go back to accounting. What's going on here? Go to dashboard. There we go. All right. So we hit this little button here, and we do hit batch deposit. So this is where you record all the different deposits you're making at once. You could do you could create your own reference, or you could generate an Odoo will automatically generate a reference. We can just leave that blank. Payment date, or we'll just create a payment. So partner type, whether it's a deposit from a customer or a vendor, most likely from a customer. And then this one specifically picks out which customer. Let's say Agrilat is that amount, and say $500. And then we could write the memo, maybe sales invoice number 5 or something like that. Save and close, and then just keep adding things like that. It's quite simple. Let's add one more since we are doing a batch. Let's create one. We'll say this one's from a vendor. Let's say they're from Asus. That's for 1,000. And we'll say it's a refund for purchase order 56. Save and close. So there we go. And we'll go ahead and save that. And then you can print this out as well. Pretty simple report that's going to pop up here in a second. Basically everything we just added. This is a good paper copy of what we're generating. And then finally we're going to go into our reconciliation models. So another useful feature of reconciliation models, and that is click more here, reconciliation models. And this is what we do for Odoo. We'll pre-fill certain expenses or entries, such as like I mentioned earlier, bank fees, rent, or just basically monthly expenses that are going to be consistent typically, and Odoo will recognize these. So in this case, let's do rent, and we'll tie it to whatever kind of account we need to pay. So based on how we set up our chart of accounts, we can search for more items, whether it be current liabilities, bank fees, expenses. We just do expenses, and then you can set up whether it's a percentage of balance or it's fixed. We do percentage of balance, so we just say 100% needs to be charged to that, and whether in here we factor in whether we need to apply taxes or not. And then you can add a second line if you want to have more. If you're actually doing a percent. Pretty much it for me today. A little shorter than expected, but I now have time to move into the Q&A.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time on that, Andrew. Now, yeah, let's jump into a couple questions. So, the first question we have here, I'd like to go over is a question about currencies. How can Odoo reconcile statements in different currencies? Let's say if it's between the U.S. dollar and Canadian.
Yeah. So, Odoo will create within your chart of accounts. There should be an account for currency, credits and debits based on, what the conversion is. For reconciliation purposes, I'm not 100% sure on how that would work specifically. I think that's more something that someone with more accounting experience would know in terms of how you reconcile different currencies. But I assume that if you're reconciling within one currency and then you're either transferring the funds into another currency, it'd probably go into your foreign exchange expense or currency conversion profits or loss based on that. So that's my best answer for you. I think that's a bit more of an accounting question, but if you want to email me at ast@odoo.com, I can look into it some more.
Okay, absolutely. Now we've actually got kind of a flurry of questions from Farhad Rashan. So let's start with the first one. What is the process of a two-way reconciliation?
Can you explain what you mean by a two-way reconciliation? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so Farhan, if you could go ahead and elaborate a little bit more on that, what you mean by that. Some of these questions are a little bit specific. So what I'll say is actually if you have very specific use cases that you'd like to go over, one thing you can do, as Andrew mentioned, is email him directly at ast@odoo.com, and you can actually schedule a demo with him directly. If you can see in the description of the YouTube, I have a link to where you can schedule something on Andrew's calendar directly, and that way you can get more direct and specific information, because some of these questions I believe might be a little bit extraneous for some. So yeah, I mean, are there any kind of last minute things that you'd like to go over, Andrew? Just kind of like an overview of Odoo statement reconciliations in general?
I
think to sum it up.
No, I think really to sum it up, we just showed a really standard kind of feature within most accounting softwares these days, but that keeps us towards the top in terms of functionality. This is probably one of the most common things that people are concerned about is tying their accounting to their bank accounts and being able to reconcile their statements online. And once you actually have this set up properly, you could be reconciling products, reconciling transactions throughout the day instead of at the end of the month, which is what I understand most accountants or most accounting firms do. Is that they leave it all for maybe end of the week or end of the month. This way, you do it every day and really maintain and manage that process. So, pretty much wraps it up for me. That's it. Thanks a lot, everyone.
All right, perfect. Well, yeah, thank you so much again, Andrew, for your great presentation. And, finally, don't forget to subscribe if you'd like this video or want to find out more information on upcoming webinars. We actually have them every Wednesday in English at 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern. And as I mentioned before, if you have any additional questions that are specific to Andrew in this use case, send them to ast@odoo.com. Or if you'd like to propose a webinar idea, other things such as that, send emails to webinars@odoo.com. And if you arrive late to this transmission, as always, you can just use this link and hit refresh, and you can start from the beginning. Thanks so much, everyone. And this is Odoo Live signing off. Have a good one.